Hey folks, I've been asked a few times recently, what's your favorite episode? What's the best episode that you've recorded? What's the one that you recommend the most? I say it depends on who's asking. What do they want to learn? What do they want to listen to? So this episode is for those thinking about how to close out 2024, how to end the year with a bang, and how to set yourself up for 2025. I think that comes down to the systems and habits, routines, preparation that you put into every day. That's your ideal day. Go back and listen to episode number 18, where we talk about how to develop the ideal day, getting a little bit better each day through practice. But before that, I think it's about reviewing what we were hoping to get out of 2024. So we'll start by re-listening to Let's Go 2024, a morning stand-up, to gain clarity, find focus, and close out on the most important goals that we had for 2024. We'll come back with a live episode next week with a guest that's been a huge part of my career and my life, Mike Albaugh. I can't wait to record that episode and share it with you. Have an awesome Thanksgiving and start today with closing out 2024 with your own morning stand-up. Here's a quick look into today's episode. So, what's on your chest right now? Always our favorite. Sometimes Sergeant Major will go, I just want to start off with get it off my chest. I got to get this off my chest. And I'll go first. I'll give you a couple seconds to kind of think about it. There's not enough time in every day to do all the things that everybody hopes you would do, to do all the things that people are recommending for you to do. And you know they're great. You know it's great advice. You know you should probably do those things. There's just not enough time in every day to do all the things that everybody is asking you to do. But what you can control is the one or two things that you said, I got to do for myself. I got to do these things in order for me to be happy, in order for me to be fulfilled, in order for me to live a positive life. Because that's what people are going to see on the outside. They're going to see those things from you. And ultimately, at the end of the day, are how you go to bed at night and how you feel at the end of the day is because did you do the things that you said in your heart, I got to do these things today. Like these are the things I got to do, or this is the way I want to live my life. And this is the way I want to live my day. And if I do that, it'll ultimately, people will see it. It'll be out there. I'll be happy. They'll see that I'm fulfilled. That's kind of my get it off my chest. Welcome to another episode of Teach Me to Fish, where our purpose is to help leaders better understand what drives people. In today's world, the core of recruiting and retaining talent revolves around leadership. And not just average leadership, but motivated, values-based, inspirational leadership. Our purpose is to get a little bit better every day. Progress equals small victories and stacking habits. Habits like getting up early, working your butt off, learning something new, being positive, and surrounding yourself with phenomenal people. Hey guys, welcome to 2024. Hey, what I wanted to do today, before we get started on 2024 season, before we get into a bunch of episodes, what I wanted to do today was I wanted to run a morning stand-up. What's a morning stand-up? Morning stand-up is something that I've been doing for years now. Whatever organization I've been a part of, whatever group of people I've been around, whether it be subconsciously or you just do it right out overtly, and you tell them what you're going to do. You coach people through how you're going to do a morning stand-up. A morning stand-up is a chance to gain some clarity. So I woke up this morning and I said to myself, like, what do I got to get done today? And what I said I got to get done today is I got to gain clarity. I got to gain clarity on 2024. I got to know what I'm going to do over the course of these months, these quarters. And if you know what those goals are and those things you got to do, you can then prioritize these things. You can start to say, okay, these are my goals for this month. These are the things I got to get done. These are the steps along the way in order to make progress into this week, into this month, and then ultimately into today's daily routine. And so I'm going to call on Trivius Caldwell. Why? Because he understands what a morning stand-up is. He knows what the way these things run. He inspires thought in my mind, and he gives me some ideas on things that I wasn't thinking about. Why do you need to share these things? You need to share them with other people because they're going to bring things to that conversation that you didn't think about, and that's why we do it. So a morning stand-up. A morning stand-up is about 5 things. It's 5 things. You spend about 2 to 3 minutes per person doing it. What's the one thing you got to get done today? You go around the room. What's the one thing I got to get done today? Number two, what's the rest of the day look like? Here's what it is. Here's the schedule. Here's the meetings that we got. Here's the people. Here's the phone calls that I got to do. Sometimes you go into weekly. Sometimes you can go into monthly. Number three, what's the rest of the week look like? What meetings, what key things you got this week? What products you got to get done? What decisions need to be made really quickly for that week? Number four, what's the big decision that you're working towards? What's looming on the back of your mind? What's out there? What's that big decision? Why do you need that big decision? That big decision because now you can go out and start gaining information. You can go seek people. You can have conversations. When you hear things, you can be like, that's getting me towards that big decision. That's getting back to the big decision that Christy's got to make. Somebody in your family. When you have these conversations, you know what number four is. And then last, get it off your chest. There's something that's bugging you. That don't let those things bug you when you go home at night, when you get up in the morning. Yeah, talk it out with somebody, talk it out with your team, talk it out with people. What's the big thing you got to get off your chest? And then share it. And then off you go with the day. When you go off in the day and you've done that morning stand up with you, with your team, with your crew, with the people around you, you go off on that day with purpose. You go off on that day with intention. You know what the schedule is supposed to look like. You know what you're seeking. So then if you find opportunity, if you see it, you know where it fits in. It fits in for somebody on your team, somebody that you're surrounded with. Mention that in the morning. That matches up with something that he's working on. That matches up with something that she's working on. Get it off your chest. I hope you enjoy this conversation between me and Travis. It should be fast. It should be furious. And then it'll get us off to a good start for 2024. Let's go 2024. So what's the one thing you had to get done today?
I had to drive. I got to drive down to Tuskegee to have a safe trip. I'm in the middle of it now. The benefits of that for me is I get to see my mom. I get to see my brother today. I don't get to see them too often, so that's good. And I get 6 hours on the road to just think and let myself think.
My one thing today was to gain clarity on this week, gain clarity on January, gain clarity going into to 2024.
Yeah,
So the second part of the morning stand up is what about today? What do you got to get done the rest of the day, the rest of the week, or what is the things that you do every day that kind of get you through that you need to do every day?
number one, I got to get up and journal. Like I got to get it right, but this is right next to me in the passenger seat. You know what this is?
Oh yeah, self
My
journal.
myself. Yeah. So I got to get up and I got to do that. I got to think about the three things I want to get done during the day. I got to think about the things I'm grateful for. I got to think about what that looks like with respect to time. The second thing I got to do is have some quiet time to just let my mind go. And I'm learning this, whether that's headspace through meditation or just spending time in silence to let my mind go wherever it wants to go. And for the rest of the week, like I got to talk tomorrow. I have two talks tomorrow. I have to teach a military history class post 1881 to some juniors at Tuskegee, which is really exciting. And then I have to do a leadership LPD with the ROTC cadets. And then Saturday, Sunday is family, all family. So that's sort of my week. It's busy. But again, I'm teaching, I'm coaching, I'm mentoring, spending time with family. And
For me, the thing I got to do every day is my morning routine. But when I get up, I got to get up early. I have to have gotten a good night's sleep. I work on the Daily Stoic. I try to get my mind in the right place. The John Maxwell Daily Reader, that kind of gets my mind going in the right direction. I try to learn something real quick. Once I get that spark, I stop reading. That spark is what I need to get done today. That kind of leads me into my one thing. And that's when I do my self-journal. Look through that. I make my 3 targets for the day, the things I'm thankful for, the things I'm grateful for, the people in my life, the health that we have. Now you're ready to go seize opportunity. That's when you go exercise. Out you go into your day. For this month, going forward, for the month of January, what is, you talked about this week, but what do you got? What do you got big this month?
so I got a 22 miler I got to get done with old Tommy Blair. Shout out to Tommy Blair. He's out there running 22 miles a day for 22 days. He's on day 7. I signed up for one day with him, so I got to figure out when. So I got to do that to make good on my word. I also have a half marathon I'm training for with my neighbor. which is really exciting because he's not a runner. So I influenced him to pick up running. So I got to focus on that a little bit. Yeah, and then just I'm focused on finishing chapter 1 of my dissertation. That's the goal for January. Those running goals and that dissertation chapter.
For this month, what I got going on is, on a personal standpoint, both girls got a lot of volleyball this month. So it's attending
Yeah.
those, it's being present at those with the girls. From a professional standpoint, got a lot of episodes, a lot of conversations that I've already recorded that I'm working through editing. I had a great conversation the other day with Drew Morgan, a great conversation with Bailey Bolin Concannon. So I'm working through the edits on those. I got Sergeant Major Dave Pitt, All-American 7 tomorrow. That we'll be having a conversation. So I'll be working through that one. I'm working through George Sterling and Brian Burlingame, both like my big brothers, guys that have kind of been a huge part of not only my life but my career. And so it would be a shame to get too far into these conversations without hearing from those two people that have influenced me, over the years. And then I got, Rick Turner. I got Major General Rudd. These are the kind of people that are also on the slate that you gotta, get that battle rhythm going.
Yeah, absolutely. I was thinking about podcasting as well. So season 2 is coming up for me, and once I get done with the 52 episodes, that's going to constitute season 1. I'm almost there, and then I'm going to transition and sort of reframe the podcast and start pumping out 25 to 30-minute episodes, right? 25, 30-minute episodes. And I think I have a theme around what that's going to be, but it's going to coincide with those book chapters I talked to you about.
Yep.
So they're going to be like letters. I'm going to read the letter, reflect on it, and get off the stage. Short, concise, and get off the stage.
Yeah. What big decisions do you got coming up over the next couple months? I know you talk through the projects, but what's a big decision that you got to make over the next couple months?
Yeah, big decision is how to balance this summer with the kids and the family and this opportunity at Princeton. I think, how do we balance my son and his band camp situation, during her softball efforts, if I'm going to be gone for five weeks, right? And then my wife is trying to do her own practice. So the big decision is really, how do I prioritize the time so that I can have either balance or harmony for those 2 summer months.
Yeah. And the key to thinking about what the big decision is, looking forward, is not that you got to make that decision tomorrow, but then you're constantly got it on your mind of, is there information? Is there variables? Do I see some things that are driving me towards a decision that I'm going to have to make? For me, it's spring and into the summer. It's, how am I going to synchronize preparation for the 196th and JPMRC and taking command, synchronizing the pre-command courses with all the girls, volleyball, with Ryan's graduation, with getting stateside for a couple weeks, visiting the CTCs, JRTC, and the NTC in preparation for going out to Alaska to see how JPMRC runs its exercises, to then take command in August, while still fitting in things like delivering Ryan to school, off to college, and seeing everybody over the summer. So that's the big, call it a decision, but it's more of an execution matrix of how we're going to live our life in the summer, and I'm prepping for that.
That sounds great. That's better said than what I just kind of put out. I'm in the same synchronization. Yeah, I got to do the same thing.
Yeah. And you can't just take an execution matrix and like vomit it all out today and then follow it. It has to be constantly evolving. A little bit today, a little bit tomorrow, a little bit next week. What are the key do outs? What are the things I can answer in the next 20 to 30 days? What are the things I still need information on in order to modify? Because there's some things I want to modify about the schedule and how April, May, and June are going to go, and how I'm going to synchronize, once I'm already stateside, how do I get over to JRTC while I'm already there and not have to do it separately? right? And then how do I get over to Fort Moore and not just do the maneuver pre-command course, but how do I do this BCT commander course where they teach you how to fight a brigade combat team? And so there's
Mhm.
5 days of that. So do I do it instead? Do I do it on top of? Do I do them back to back?
Now, how do you make those decisions? Do you sit down, with Chrissy and you guys just kind of go over it, or how do you tend to do that?
I think it's starting big to small. I think it's doing what we're doing right now, which we've nailed down what we've got to do today. We've nailed down what we've got to do the rest of this week. We're ready to seize opportunities, right? But what we're doing is we're looking out into the future. We're looking at April, May, and June. We've got our calendars, we've got our months. They're starting to take shape. You know when you got to go to pre-command course. Like so that's
Yeah,
on the schedule. But what do you do the couple days before it? What do you do on the back end? So I made sure that these things didn't conflict with Ryan's graduation. I tried to make sure that it
mm,
wouldn't conflict with delivering her to, university. And
yeah,
so now there's a little bit of space in between those. And so you put your big blocks, the typical, you put your big rocks in the bowl first, then you fill it in with the pebbles, and then the sand will come, on the back end. So we're starting to
yeah,
place some of those big rocks in the months of April, May, June, July right now.
yeah. I'm looking forward to the spring because that's when the battalion command slate will get published as well. So, for me, it's going to be, especially if I get Fort Liberty, it's going to be exercising some patience, not to rush down there and start spying,
Yeah.
and getting back around the soldiers because I miss them, and just taking a tactical pause, and then reaching out too. I have to make this decision. When do I reach out to sitting battalion commanders? I think that time is now, but to solicit their commanders' guidance, their documentation, to just kind of look through and see and start to think about what is my vision, not getting too deep in that before I go in and really assess the situation and find out what kind of leader they need to be, not the leader I want to show up as.
I think you're already doing it. So when I said like being a battalion commander is the most prepared for any duty position you'll ever have done in the Army, it's that you've been thinking about these things. Like when you were the Brigade XO, you were soliciting the input of battalion commanders,
Oh yeah,
and you were getting,
yeah,
that you were taking it firsthand. And so that's the greatest. That's the greatest feedback that you can get. What you get is good
yeah.
feedback from people like Brian O'Connor months and years later. Like that's the
Mm,
gold. That's the gold. The Tom Boggianos that are going to tell you gold now, they wouldn't have told you while you were in position, right? Julian
yeah.
Larimer's going to tell you, Bailey Concannon's going to tell you, the truth later on. It's hard for people to give you the truth while it's actually happening.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because the three things that always come up when I think about my time watching you and Colonel Turner, Colonel Alexander, all those folks, is who's the team player, who is consistent, and then who is approachable. Yeah, if you can do those three things, everything else will waterfall. And those three things have been reiterated to me by Brigadier General Baker, General Van Antwerp, yourself, all the battalion commanders, the sergeants, majors. They're all saying the same stuff.
So what's on your chest right now? Always our favorite. And sometimes Sergeant Major would go, hey, I just want to start off with get it off my chest. I got to get this off my chest. And I'll go first. I'll give you a couple seconds to kind of think about it. It's that there's not enough time in every day to do all the things that everybody hopes you would do, to do all the things that people are recommending for you to do. And they're great. It's great advice. You should probably do those things. There's just
Mm-hmm.
not enough time in every day to do all the things that everybody is asking you to do. But what you can control is the one or two things that you said, I got to do for myself. I got to do these things in order for me to be happy, in order for me to be fulfilled, in order for me to live a positive life, because that's what people are going to see on the outside. They're going to see those
Yeah.
things from you. And ultimately, at the end of the day, how you go to bed at night and how you feel at the end of the day is because did you do the things that you said in your heart, I got to do these things today. Like these are the things I got to do, or this is the way I want to live my life. And this is the way I want to
Yeah.
live my day. And if I do that, it'll ultimately, people will see it. It'll be out there. I'll be happy. They'll see that I'm fulfilled. That's kind of my get it off my chest.
Yeah. No, thanks for sharing that. I was thinking as you were talking, because I got a lot of stuff to get off my chest. It's not too long because I can whittle this down. But like in the last 2 weeks, if I can be transparent, for me, what keeps coming up is this phrase that what you're doing, you're supposed to be doing, and you're good enough to do it. That's what keeps playing out in my head because I've been spiraling in this sort of pool of inferiority complex a little bit. And so that has happened in the last 2 weeks. And then the other one is this idea, see, how can I word this without being too flippant or controversial about it? It's like, are you black enough? If I can be honest, like I've had a couple people try to remind me about what I am doing. And am I talking to too many white folks? Am I not talking? That has driven me crazy in the last couple of weeks. And the thing that keeps coming up for me is you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Remain steadfast and keep doing what you're doing. Yeah. So I tend to do a lot of my talks and my conversations to an audience who really don't look like me, only because those are the social circumstances that I am in. Whether it's at Duke, whether it's at Louisville, I was just up in Philadelphia, and I'm talking to folks from Carnegie Mellon and Harvard and Yale and Penn, and not a lot of people look like me in these spaces. And so when I put this content out, who say that you're not doing enough for this community, you're not that enough, so you kind of feel like you're in the middle a little bit. When in reality, from my perspective, I understand that we're all people. The very thing that I'm trying to work against, this idea of the social construction of race, is the very thing that's pulling me in these multiple directions. And so I have to continually remind myself that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Sometimes I get tired of talking about race. I absolutely do, and so sometimes I'm like, oh, maybe I should spend less time talking about that stuff. And then I'll get a reminder of why I should talk about it. so I keep coming back to the thing that, hey, you're doing exactly that what you need to be doing. And I know this because in any circumstance that I go in, I can hold my own. And I'm going back to my alma mater to do the good work, not because somebody said I didn't, but because my heart moves me to do that and to help people. I don't care what they look like, but I have a perspective, and I feel a need to share it.
Yeah, perfect. Exactly why we do this,
Yeah.
right? And the whole purpose of a morning stand-up, what's the one thing we got to get done today? Number two, what do we got to do? What's the schedule look like for today? What does the rest of your day look like? What do you got to get done? What do you got to get done this week? Who do you got to see? What meetings you got to go to? What products do you have to get done? What do I got to do this week? Those tangible things, put them on your schedule, because the schedule rules. What are the big decisions that you got coming up, whether that's this week, this month, or this quarter? But you always review those big decisions, because the big decisions tell you what variables, what information do I need to go seek this week so that I can make that decision and I'll be more confident making that decision in the future. And then number four, get it off your chest. And the reason we share these things with each other, and you got to find a crew, find a couple people that you surround yourself with, and you have these conversations, these stand-ups, and gain clarity. Why do we share it with each other and not just put it into a journal and not just put it onto a notebook, not just write it on a whiteboard? You share it with other people so that they can hold each other accountable, so that I can ask you about it in a couple of days or in a month, so that you can ask me about it. Or if you see an opportunity a couple of days from now, a month from now, you're like, hey, I know somebody who's working on a project that might help. And the more you have these conversations with people, the more you're going to be able to help each other out. The more they'll help you, the more you'll be able to help them, and the better life we're all going to have.
Yeah. Amen, brother.
Amen.
It sounds like you. Amen, brother.
That's right. Thanks for listening today. I hope we sparked some thoughts about the people that have inspired you to be who you are today. I hope you share some of your thoughts, and better yet, demonstrate them for the people in your life. Our pursuit is to get a little bit better every day. Progress equals small victories stacked on top of each other, building like compound interest. Keep stacking these positive habits. Habits like getting up early, working your butt off, learning something new, being positive, and surrounding yourself with phenomenal people. Please share your comments at the links in the show notes, and DM us at Teach Me to Fish podcast on Instagram or Facebook. Looking forward to our next conversation.
Times don't fly too high. Be sure to keep the ground in sight. Fly forever if you keep it tight. Love the world but keep the sky on your mind.